Good afternoon. Hi. Can you take the handouts? No, take the handouts. I'm Victoria Wright. I'm the Marketing and Outreach Coordinator for Department of Procurement Services. And this is Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Info Session. So is that what everybody's here for, right? Okay. Well, I want to thank all of you first for just coming out in the cold. I was praying upstairs that people showed up today because it's so cold. So you should have signed in, and I think I already did follow up with everybody and take the handouts. Okay. Oh, how you doing? Right. So everybody took the handouts. We have the actual Goldman Sachs information packet out there. The buy-in plan, which is a year, 12-month forecast of all the contracts that will come out for the city of Chicago. Our 2016 workshop schedule, and our DPS alert cards. So we always recommend that everybody sign up for DPS alerts so that you will receive the bid opportunity list every Monday. And the bid opportunity lists are the contracts that are actually on the street right now, where the buy-in plan is a forecast of the contracts that will come out. And then I have an evaluation that I will collect at the end if I could get everybody to fill out an evaluation so that I can collect that. I do have to let you know that all DPS workshops are now being live streamed to YouTube. So the camera is actually only on the speaker, not on the audience. And for that sake, we're going to start on time and end on time. We ask that you hold all your questions until the end so that the speaker can repeat your question and answer your question so that the people at home can hear your question. For people here and at home, I don't know if we don't have Randy's. Do we have your PowerPoint? I'm not sure. Okay, so we will make sure we get Randy's PowerPoint on the website so that you can download it if you want for more information. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Randy Kravitz. He's from Goldman Sachs and City Colleges, and he's going to be the presenter for today. Thank you.
Okay, better. So previous to this program, they had another grant program which was called 10,000 Women. And the 10,000 Women program was specifically for women internationally in undeveloped areas to help them with business entrepreneurialism so that they could learn how to better run their business. And the thought process then was that if the women were able to get this education and experience and had a business which was successful, then they not only benefited from it, but the whole community around them benefited from it. And that was exactly what happened. It was a tremendous program, and they've since brought it back. It just started last month around the world again. But given that success that they had, they came up with this program because they want to help the economies of major cities around the U.S. in both revenue creation and job creation. So one of the big Major reasons it's here in Chicago is because of the mayor. The mayor was very instrumental in bringing this program in. He brought it in 2011 towards the end, and the first cohort came about in January of 2012. Goldman made a $25 million investment into Chicago, and the program has now been going on since 2012. We are now in the application process for the 15th cohort. So we've had a lot of experience with this program, and we've had a lot of success with the program. So what this slide does is it gives you an idea of what we call the ecosystem of small business development in the Chicago marketplace. And as you can see, on the top right side is small business development, like SCORE, like SBDCs, like the SBA. They all have programs that are based on helping small businesses, and they're all very good entities. Everybody up here is our partner. There are also advocacy groups and support groups. Some of the, like Chicagoland Chamber, Chicago Urban League, WBDC, all of these organizations partner with us, because everybody in this environment of small business education and development know each other and have been around for a long time and try to help each other out. So it's very much of a exclusive community, if you will, within the Chicagoland market. Now, why you see that 10,000 small businesses is set aside to the left-hand side is that we feel that our program is the premier program because it has the most diligent education curriculum, as well as the most time spent in education. And you'll hear about the program in the coming slides, but each of the programs that you see up in this slide is really what we tend to think as a feeder program to our program. So they're great programs. They have different qualifications than we have, but we really welcome people to go through other programs, come to ours, as well as our program and going into other programs. So a lot of people, for example, if you've ever heard of CASE, which is another one of the mayor's programs, we are partnering with them as of, I guess it just started, to do their education, and they're an anchor program so that when Rush Hospital and some of the big major buyers in the city are looking to do their purchases, that they segment off a portion of it for local purchases. So again, it's all very good. It's all there to help you as small business owners, and we feel that we have an important place in it. We are not a program for startups. So, and I'll go through what the criterion is to get into the program, but we do not cater to startups or early stage. What we are looking for and what the curriculum has been created to do is work with small businesses who have sustained revenue, who are either profitable or just about to be profitable, who are not just, we started 6 months ago. It has to be a 2 years or older business. So it's very important that you get that distinction, because the program was created for a specific group of small businesses. So here is the requirements to get into our program. You have to be 2 years or more in business. And the reason for that is we do a lot of peer-to-peer learning in the program. So if you have not had the experience in managing your group, in this case probably a lot of subcontractors, if you have not had the the issues involved with hiring and firing and those kind of things, you would not keep up with the class. So there has to be kind of a minimum amount of time you've been in business to be able to have those peer-to-peer conversations. We also say that we require 4 full-time equivalent or more employees. Now, the reason for that is that we want to have, we want you to have and us to have no issues about who's running the shop while you're in our program. We don't want you to be nervous about it. We don't want you to be checking your phone all the time. We want you to be in the class when you're in the class, because if you're not, if your head's not there, or if you don't have the right infrastructure, you're not going to do well. And for us, it's a seat that probably could have been given to somebody else who would. So it's very important. And when we say 4 full-time equivalent, again, with the construction industry, there's a lot of 1099s. And we just really want to make sure that your business is not going to suffer while you're in the program. We, excuse me, we have a revenue requirement of minimum $150,000 in revenue, and to a maximum can really be 4 to 6 to 8, even 10 million. As long as at the higher levels, we feel that you can converse well with smaller businesses, you can contribute, and you can make sure that you're active within the cohort. So it says 4 million up there, but in the last few cohorts we've been going higher because we found that it's worked out really well. The other thing is we want you to be the majority owner. We want you to be the majority owner because you are going to be developing your own growth plan. Everything you do in our program is for your business. If you're not the majority owner and you develop your growth plan and then have to sell it to somebody, that may not work out very well. So if you're the majority owner, and what most people do is they'll go through the program, they will, on a weekly basis, go back to their management team or the other owners, and they'll let them know what transpired in the sessions, so that when they develop their plan, the management team or owner team is involved with setting up that growth plan, so that at the end of the cohort, you're right there, you can execute that plan and get going on it. So that's very important. The other thing is, again, peer-to-peer. This is not for people who won't speak up. A lot of it is discussion. A lot of it is talking to the fellow cohort members. We want to make sure that if you're in this program, that you're actually delivering, you're actually helping out the process. So if you're a wallflower, this is not the program for you, because we really do want you to be involved and engaged in the program and with your fellow cohort mates. So let me give you like an overview of what the program's all about. Goldman Sachs and the Goldman Sachs Foundation gave $500 million grant, as I said before. The first thing they did was they went out to Babson College. Now, who here knows about Babson College? One. Babson College, if you Google them, you'll see they're the #1 entrepreneurial company or a school in the United States. So what Goldman wanted was a quality curriculum and a customized curriculum. Again, to that marketplace, if you will, of revenue generators who have a business that really need to get to the next level. And this curriculum is designed specifically for them and for their business. So you see up here, there's a company called ICIC. What that company does, they're out of Boston. Babson's out of Boston as well. But ICIC helps us nationally administer the program. So what we're looking for with the program is best practices around the country. There's 12 sites, and we also have a national cohort. The national cohort is for those areas within the country that are not in major metropolitan areas. So it's a hybrid program. It's on the internet as well as 2 weeks at Babson College in Boston. So IC helps us just with the magnitude of what this program is about across the country. And then in Chicago and every other site, the program is administered and taught by community colleges. And why community colleges? Because community colleges understand how to teach adults. Half of the students who go to community college are adults. So Goldman requested it, and it really does make a difference when you have the professors who understand how to speak to adults and not kids basically right out of school. So those are the major players. Now in Chicago, city colleges and specifically Harold Washington College is where everything happens. We're right here on State and Lake. And it's at Harold Washington because that is the one city college that is the business school. So it kind of makes sense to put this grant initiative there. So there's 3 pieces to this program. One is education, and I'll show you what the curriculum is in a minute. But the curriculum education is one of 2 pieces of education. The other one, as I stated before, is peer-to-peer learning. So when you go through the curriculum, what you are doing is you're learning, and I'll show you the different pieces of the curriculum, you're learning how to be a leader and how to find a growth opportunity if you don't know what it is, and there's a lot of elements to it. Peer-to-peer is really how you work with the rest of the people in the cohort and how you give to them and you take from them as well. There is huge networking opportunities with this program. So basically in your cohort, and they usually are around 35 business owners in a cohort, you will end up becoming very friendly with the other cohort mates because you spend so much time with them, you get to know them and their business and them personally, that you develop a bond. Every cohort has a bond, and every cohort stays together after the program is done as a group, at least for a little while afterwards, because they realize that it goes from being a cohort to a support network. And so 84% of the business owners that go through the program end up doing business with the other people in their cohort. That can be new customers, it can be new vendors, it can be people who they have sit on their advisory board, all kinds of different ways people work together. But it is our collaboration that really does make sense because of the diversity of who's in the cohort. So our job as administrators of the program is to have cohorts that are exceedingly diverse. And when I say that, it's important when I say exceedingly diverse that it's different industries. So this is the construction industry, but we also have lawyers, we have architects, we have dog grooming companies. We have ranges the gamut, and the more diverse people in the room, what we find is at this level of business, everybody has the same issues. They treat the issues differently because of the industry they're in or the business they're in, but everybody has HR issues. Everybody has how do we sell more. Everybody, has these production type, even if it's a service. It's how do we do the processes and procedures. Everybody has the same issues. So immediately, and it's really interesting, from the start of the program, what you see the very first day, within hours, there's people who have never met each other before, have something in common to talk about, and it just gets better and better as the program goes along. So the networking opportunity, it doesn't just stop at the cohort. What we do when you become an alumni is that you get full access to all the other alumni who've gone through the program, because there's a special bond that you have, and electronically, excuse me, we put you in, I don't know if anybody here has heard of Basecamp, which is an electronic program that you can talk to people, you can put in documents and videos and all of that. You are hooked up on Basecamp with the over 450 other alumni in the Chicagoland area. So why is this important? It's important in a lot of ways. So we'll give you just one example. Happened just the other day that somebody was looking for a form that they wanted to have for their HR, and they wanted to make sure that if they're writing people up, that they had the best form possible. So they go on the Basecamp, they say, I'm looking for a form. Literally within minutes, you'll have 4 or 5 people writing you back saying, here's a form, see how you like this. And it's an amazing tool that you have. Just in small business, you're out there by yourself, right? I mean, the reality is you don't have a lot of people to talk to. Here you have in Chicagoland, 450 people to talk to. And nationally, once you graduate, you have over 6,000 people that you are hooked up with as well. And if you have national programs or want to grow on a regional basis, that makes sense to be able to have access to those alumni in other places. So networking is basically on steroids in this program. And then access to capital. Access to capital is, this is a growth program. And a lot of times you need capital if you're going to grow. And so not only do we teach you what lenders are looking for and how to present yourself to lenders, we also hook you up with lenders. We'll expose you to various lenders from microloans all the way up to commercial banks. So small businesses, a lot of times they don't want to go to commercial banks because the commercial banks will deny them. About 75% of small businesses who go to that commercial bank will get rejected. But there's other opportunities in Chicago with microloans, different areas of the city on the south side. There are organizations set up to be able to give you those loans. There'll be a little higher interest rate, but you'll be able to get that debt financing that you're looking for. Goldman as well has given $5 million to Chicago, and our partner Summer Corps is who works this program. But it's a community advantage loan that they work through. It's an SBA loan. Again, a little higher interest rate, but it's from $50,000 to $250,000, and we're directly connected with Summer Corps and really everybody who loans money in the Chicago marketplace. So all of this was created for the main purpose of being able to grow your business, create revenue, and create jobs. And I'll show you the results in a minute. So, what is at the basis of this program? At the basis is a growth plan. A growth plan is not a business plan. It's a plan that you have to what do you do something different to supplement what you're already doing. And so what that means is it could be a different geographic area, doing the same thing but doing it in a different geographic area. Could be a different service that you add to the services that you already have. It could be a completely different thing. We have a guy who just graduated. He's in the IT world, and he has an IT technologies business. And for a long time, he's wanted to go into the retail market because he had bought a very large printing machine and thought it would be a good idea to do posters for commercial businesses. More than posters, these are very large graphics that if you have, for example, Um, we'll get there. Oh, okay. So if you go into a new commercial space, the company may want a nice graphic. It's very large. It's very modern and up to date. He went into that business because he felt, even though it's totally different than what he was doing before, he felt very confident that it made sense. So the growth plan really does two things. One is, as you go through the curriculum, you're learning the things you need to learn for the growth plan, but it also applies to your base business. So when you learn the financials, for instance, what you're learning is that your growth opportunity is not going to lower your financials or take away from the margin that you have on your business today. It has to make sense as far as a complement to that business. While you're learning that, now you have knowledge to go back to your base business. And for example, about 50% of the people who go through our program end up firing their accountant or their CPA. And they do it because they realize that the CPA has never mentioned these things that are taught in our program about ratios, about how to read balance sheets and things like that, where most small business people don't know that. And when it comes to, and this isn't a knock on accountants or CPAs, but if you're an accountant and you have 50 customers and you only have the time that you have, who are you going to devote the most time to? Obviously, the ones who pay you more. So if you're in the bottom half of those 50, it's likely you may get your financials on time on a monthly basis, but you probably don't get the knowledge that comes with it. So we teach you about that, and that works on your growth opportunity as well as the opportunity for the base business. So what this growth plan does, it really is it's a live document. While you go through the curriculum is designed to where the growth opportunity template covers the same thing that you just learned. So it's building blocks till the end of the completion of the growth plan. And so the growth plan is really what it's all about, that you can execute the day after you graduate. And what goes into it is, this is the curriculum. And you'll see in the yellow there, what that is we call it mindset change. And what that means is, it's really, we teach you what your leadership style is and how to lead once you've identified that leadership style. And about your company, what your involvement is, how well do you lead that company? Because what we're looking for here are leaders. And entrepreneurs are leaders if they understand how to lead. If they don't understand it, because you don't know what you don't know, you're at a disadvantage. So the first, the three there in the yellow are mindset oriented. The next, I don't know how many there are, but they're all green, are skill set oriented. So once you've determined what your growth opportunity is, then how do you make it work? So you'll see Mod 3 is money and metrics. I told you a little bit about that's where you learn about the money and metrics. But there's also workshops there that teach you how to look at income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements. So again, that when you get these on a monthly basis, you know what you're looking for. You know how to set up your dashboard, basically with ratios, and very kind of technical, business-oriented information that you need to run your business, that most small businesses do not even know about, because most small businesses didn't go to graduate school in business. You start a business because you have passion for that business, or maybe you know somebody who's been in that business. You get into the business, you want to do it for a career, and you have the opportunity to go out on your own. There's all the reasons why you're in business. A lot of them aren't because you have a business education. So even though this program, we have people with advanced degrees, we have people with high school all the way up to PhD. And it really doesn't, again, this is part of the diversity. We want people in the program who have different education levels because they all learn from each other. So the bulk of the program is in the skill set side where you talk about, it's the people is an HR module where you really talk about how to manage people, what are the legalities of managing people. We even have a legal clinic where we get you in front of a lawyer for a free 30-minute session of anything you want to ask. And 90% of what people ask are issues of HR, because every small business has it. Then from there it goes into marketing and sales. And you know, if you have this great idea, how are you going to get that idea out and across to people? How are you going to market if you have different geography? How are you going to market in those different areas? Social media is a big thing. And I don't know how it relates specifically in construction, but it's one element of a total marketing focus that you have to have with your business. Operations, if you're a $500,000 business today and you become $1 million business, do you think your business is the same as it was at 500,000? No, it's very different, because all of a sudden now you have more, probably more people, you have more money coming in, you're busier. How do you adjust those processes and procedures to be able to accommodate that growth? And you really have to understand what we teach, for example, process mapping, where you basically are taking any kind of process and breaking it down by each of the steps in that process and creating a manual. A lot of people create manuals for their processes so that they have something in writing. When a new person comes in, it's much easier to teach if it's all written down. So there's a lot that goes into the operations side of things. And then in the blue, you see that being bankable, again, how to get in front of lenders. We have a lenders panel where we bring in banks and angels and different lending institutions to come in and talk to you. And basically, you are learning from their mouths what they're interested in. So you can fashion your pitch. It's all about pitch. It really is. When you go in and you have a new business or your old business, you have to sell that to somebody, right? So we teach you how to sell it, how to identify your business, how to do it in 3 minutes time, and not fumble. And you know, you have to be confident about what you're selling, because you're selling yourself for the most part. So we teach you all of that. So let me tell you how it all works time-wise. It's 15 weeks. And how that 15 weeks is put together is there is every other Friday. And those sessions, that's what we call the modules, are from 8:30 in the morning to 5:30. There are 3 Saturdays, 8:30 in the morning to 5:30. There's one the first week of the program, the last week of the program, and right in the middle of it. We also have workshops, clinics, whatever you want to call them. We have 5 of those. And those are conducted in off weeks where you're not having the module, the 8-hour module. And those are usually on Tuesday night from like 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And so all of this activity happens within 15 weeks. The main part of what happens in that 15 weeks is a concentration of the curriculum. There is 100+ hours of the curriculum. So you may be wondering, or a lot of people ask, well, how much is it? How much is this program? It's free. There's no charge for this program. The commitment you make is to be at every module, to be at every clinic, so that you keep up with the growth plan. And for that, Goldman has given this grant that covers the customized curriculum. It covers the teaching of the curriculum. So in the first 3 cohorts, the Babson people would fly to Chicago to teach, we call them scholars, which is a different name than students because these are adults. And it was also a train-the-trainer for all of the City College professors who now teach the curriculum. So all of the teaching of the curriculum, all the materials, because now we've converted to electronic, but back when we had the book, it's a book like this, which you keep, because that's what you work with to develop your growth plan. And then the food. Actually, the biggest cost, if you can imagine, is the food, because we provide breakfast and lunch and like snacks, break time for the whole 15 weeks that you're there. So what we want to make sure is that when you're there, we take care of you, and you're not worried about like, where do I go for lunch? Because we want you all together. Now, one of the main things about this that I haven't talked about yet is the one-on-one mentoring. So we have 3 business advisors who have been with the program in Chicago since it started. And those 3 business advisors have over 120 businesses of all kinds that they've dealt with. You get one-on-one coaching and mentoring from those business advisors. You talk to them every week. And not only do they help you go through the curriculum, but they also keep you on track. What you don't want to do is start off really slow and not do the work, because when you end up towards the end and you have to finish it, you're going to find yourself in a bad spot. There's just too much to do if you don't keep up. So our business advisors make sure we have 2 checkpoints during the 15 weeks. And we, as a administrative group for the program, talk about each scholar every 2 weeks. So if there's something that the business advisors don't know or want some counsel on, they talk to the wider group. And we, as administrators of the process, really understand where each of the scholars are in their ability to get through the program. We have a 99% graduation rate, and it's largely because we make sure that people graduate. And we do that because the vetting process to get people in is very strong. So you have to realize that if you have this program that's free to small business owners, you would think we get a lot of applications, and we do. And so what we do is we have to vet each of the businesses and get it down to, usually the average is it's about 125 applications for 35 spots. And we do that 3 times a year. Now, let me move this forward. This slide gives you the results. And they're pretty unbelievable, actually. The revenue growth in 6 months of the people who go through our program is 72% versus the national average of 45%. The job creation of the people who go through the program in 6 months is 50%. That's 1 job created or more than 1 job, versus 22% of the rest of the small businesses. Now, how do we know that? How do we know that those are pretty precise numbers? We know that because we have 2 things that we ask of you. One is that you're there for everything, and the second is, as an alumni, you give us your progress on your business. So we take a baseline. The day you graduate, there's a baseline. Here's my sales. Here's the number of people I have. Then we take it again. We ask you to supply it again in 6 months, 18 months, and 30 months. So these numbers are actual numbers in Chicago. And I will tell you that the national number are below this. So if in Chicago we're 72%, I believe the national number is like 66. So our program in Chicago, and the same with the job creation, we lead all of the sites. I'd like to say because we're the best site, but I think a lot of it has to do with, the people in Chicago, the type of work environment we have in Chicago, and the ability to pull that all together. So those are real numbers. And I talked to you about the graduation date. There is a website that we have. I'm going to tell you about how to apply for the program. We have a March 2nd application deadline. And I'll tell you how all of the applications work. If you go to our site, which you can get on www.ccc.edu/smallbiz with a Z. You go to our site, and what you'll see on the site, sorry? www.ccc.edu/smallbiz. And what you'll see on the site is a lot of information about what the program is, what the dates are for the next cohort, and what is taught in each of the modules. So you'll be able to get a good understanding of the program itself. You'll be able to get information about our alumni news. We have lots of alumni who win a lot of awards. So they're highlighted on there. But every page has an Apply Now button on the front, on the top of the page to apply to the program. And I wouldn't wait till March 2nd to do it. I would do it as soon as you can. Hit the Apply Now button, and you're taken to our national application site. When they get it, then they see it's from Chicago, and they send it back to us. So they're retrieving all of the applications across the United States, and they'll give us ours. What the initial application, it's a one-page application. It's very easy. The idea of that application is to see if you have met the criterion that we talked about previously. And if you do, then you'll get an email from us that says, congratulations, you meet the criterion. Now here's what we need you to send us. We need documents. We need balance sheets and income statements for the last 2 years. We need your federal tax return for the last time you've filed it. We need proof of ownership. So all the things you tell us, we need to have that backed up with documents. The other thing is that we're going to ask you to fill out what we call an addendum application, which is a 3-page application, which gives us a greater idea about what your business is, your passion, how did it start, what's your customer base look like, things like that. So once we get all of the information, if it comes in by its due date, then we schedule an interview, a 25-minute interview with you. And what that interview is for is, as we look at all your documentation, if there's questions that come up, sometimes there are, sometimes there's not, we'll ask you in the interview. We want to see the passion you have for the business. We want to see your personality. We want to see if you are someone who can be in the program, keep up with the program, add to the program on the peer-to-peer learning part of it. So in that interview, it's not like a job interview. It's a relaxed interview, but we have 3 or 4 panelists. One panelist is from Goldman Sachs. One is from this company ICIC, which we talked about earlier, and 1 or 2 people are from city colleges. And so you go through that process, and then we evaluate the whole package, if you will. And if you're accepted, we'll notify you, and like 3 weeks later, the class starts and you're in the program. If you're not accepted, two things can happen. One thing that can happen is that we want to put you in a pipeline, because we think that either you have one or two issues that can be resolved, or we feel that maybe you're a little too early now, but if you get mentoring or you go through some of the other programs in the Chicagoland area, that we may be able to help you get to the point where you can reapply and come back. You know, that's what we hope happens with the people who are rejected. We do have a place for them in our pipeline. The people who are rejected and we don't have a place for are just out of the program. So in conclusion, there's no cost to the program. It's entirely free, but your time isn't free, and your motivation for the program isn't free, and your ability to kind of juggle your working environment with this program can sometimes be daunting or difficult. So there's no cost, but there is a commitment. We have to have that commitment. We don't want you to miss any of the curriculum. If you do, you know, you can miss one if it's an emergency or an issue comes up. We certainly understand that. But we really want people who take this seriously, because you're getting probably, in some cases, a lot of people call it transformational. And a lot of people have increased their revenues by 2, 3, 4 times just because they've gone through this. You will know hundreds more people than you know today. And, you know, we just want you to be really serious about it. And then I told you about the deadline that we have March 2nd for the cohort 15. Now, cohort 15 starts May 13th, and it ends August 20th. So that's the time frame. We have 3 cohorts a year. So we would rather that you get in earlier than later, but understand, especially in the summertime, a lot of businesses, maybe construction businesses, are very busy. Summer's their heaviest time, so that may not be the best time. But we have a fall session and a winter session. And if that's better timing, then we want to make sure that you hit one of those as well. And apply online and look at the website, and we have 12 minutes to answer questions. Yes?
If you decide to, your business is in construction just in the summer it's busy for you, and you do decide to do the fall or winter, can you apply now, or should you apply at the time?
You can apply now and go through the process, and then at the end, if you are accepted, you can defer that one cohort. So you apply for summer, that's not going to work out, and you're accepted, you can get into fall. We'll defer that. Any other? Yes?
One question regarding the other trainings that you mentioned in case and with Hacia, like for myself. I took the contractor's course with Hacia,
Mm-hmm.
and I also took training with business. But I also have a higher level education in business. I have a master's in marketing communications, and I have a doctorate
Mm-hmm.
in business administration.
Yeah.
So for a person like myself, when applying, if you don't have the requirement of 2 years, will that be taken into consideration, the fact that?
Well, your situation, which we talked about, is an abnormal situation. We don't see that a lot. So I'll go back and I'll talk to some people about this, and then we probably want to talk to you on the phone about it and things like that, and get information. A lot of it is, I think we have to make sure to get that documentation so that we see what you've been doing prior to you exiting that business.
In regards to case and Hacia and the education that I have
Well, I know all those guys and women, Nitika and Jorge over at the Hispanic construction. So, if we ever have to like check back with anybody, we know them anyway. I think the main thing is that we need to see about the qualifications relative to the criterion first. Yes.
As you mentioned that usually receiving more applications
Yes.
than response. So in case if application is not accepted, is the applicant has any other options to get the interview?
Yes, there's a lot of other options in Chicago. So, for example, Chicago Urban League has a program. I believe it's a 12-week program that they call the Next Step program. I think it is. The WBDC has a program that's 12 weeks. We actually look at these programs as feeder programs for us. So if you can't meet the size qualification, or for whatever reason you're early for our program, we can direction you to probably 4 or 5 different programs in Chicago, and we'd love to do that.
How we can get those information?
I will leave my card, and then if you can email me exactly that, then we'll work on that. Okay? Sure. And-
The Goldman Sachs program handled the case with joint partnership, father and son, one company. The question is, it's 2 of us.
Mhm.
We both want to learn at the same time if possible. If it's geared to one person, do I come back next year? What do you thought?
The way it works in a family business, and we get a lot of family businesses, is that there's one member from the family. It's you and your son?
I'm actually, it's him.
Oh, okay, you're the son.
No, he's the partner.
Oh, you're the partner, okay. If it's that, then we have one person go through the program. But we want to make sure that that one person brings back the information and talks to you about it, and as a go-forward position that you know everything that's going on, you contribute to that growth plan so that you can hit the ground running, when the program's over. But in any case like that, we only have one person doing that. Anybody else? I'd ask the streamers, but yeah.
What about the union organization? They are very established and they have long standing in the business and they are doing pretty good but not really good. But they are not meeting the criteria, one of the criteria which is 150,000 credits.
Uh-huh.
So in that case, those funds has any other option?
Yeah, they do. So, for example, I talked to you about the Chicago Urban League. Their program requirement is 100,000, and probably if you're just under that, they can probably accept you as well. The WBDC also accepts both startups as well as an early stage. In this case, it's not an early stage, but maybe it's a rejuvenation stage, and you can talk to them. So there are definitely places to go in Chicago. That's what's great about what the mayor's done, is he's really made sure that small businesses, get attended to, and I think we're all better off because of that. You won't get the same kind. Now this is the most hours of any training in Chicago, but you'll get similar training. It just won't be this intense, and it'll be quality, but not what this is. And that's why we work with these different programs, because we use them as feeders who want to study more. Like, a lot of people don't want to be in school forever, right? I mean, probably once you got out, it was like, I'm not going back to do that. But there are also people who just thrive on the whole environment, and really like being around people and networking and getting what they can out of it.
In my case, I'm already in the school, the business school.
You're what?
In my case, I'm already in the business school. I taught Boston College here in the Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
They said that they have this program, but it's not online. I have to go there.
Babson doesn't have it in Massachusetts. Now, there is a New York. What's that? No, I think maybe you are confusing what that hybrid program is. As far as I know, and the hybrid program is 2 weeks at Babson, but it's also online. So you get the same curriculum, but it's taught differently. So you don't do 15 weeks at Babson. That I know they don't have a program for that. 9 months. Now there are other programs that previously people have done. Babson, I wouldn't say has a lot of contribution to a lot of these programs, but they do have a few others that they have. So maybe it's something that I don't know. That could be.
But the question is that since they are giving education to Chicago community colleges, like the Washington College, so the students can enroll here for the Boston College, the community colleges.
To do our program, you have to go through this whole process. You can go, if I understand this correctly, you certainly can go to Harold Washington, but they don't teach this curriculum. It's only our program that does it. Yeah. Anybody? Anybody else? If not, thank you for your attention, and we finished 3 minutes early.